Hello and welcome to Swiftly Spoken, a fan-made Taylor Swift podcast in which we analyse her artistry, including her lyricism, music videos and full album retrospectives. We are your hosts, Cameron and Lisa, and for this episode we decided to challenge ourselves to create the concept, artwork and track list for a Taylor Swift compilation album. Okay, to make these album concepts, we decided to follow a list of rules just to make it a bit more difficult and to avoid these track lists turning into just a recollection of our favourite Taylor Swift songs. So in this episode, we're going to be going over the rules of the challenge, then we'll be revealing our themes and ideas behind our albums, and then we'll be discussing our track lists and talking about our cover arts.
Okay, so to begin with the rules, to make sure that it was a bit more of a challenge and to make sure that this really made us sit down and think about the songs we were adding to our compilation albums, we came up with a few rules to follow. So firstly, the track list has to contain 13 songs total. Of course, 13 is Taylor's lucky number, so we thought we could go for that. Secondly, the songs that we're going to take into consideration for this challenge in particular are going to be from the 9 studio albums that Taylor currently has out. So no extra songs, no unreleased songs, not this time around at least. Thirdly, at least one song from each of her 9 studio albums had to appear. Fourthly, the placement of these songs kind of had to make sense. They had to be an opener, they had to be a closer, and of course we decided to specifically place our track 5s as the most sad or vulnerable songs, which is typical of Taylor's track placement. After that, we also decided that all of the songs had to revolve around a specific theme that we both came up with, and we shall be explaining before getting into the track list. And finally, we also had to create a name and artwork for the album. So these are the rules. Cameron, initial thoughts. What were your difficulties when coming up with your compilation album?
I think the difficult thing was just not putting all of my favourites in there. Like, it was really hard to be like, no, that one does not fit. You cannot have it in there.
Yeah.
I think it was that was really hard. And then also trying to come up with some sort of like theme that meant that it included some of my favourites, but also it was just hard. You had to include a theme that obviously kind of was across all of the albums.
Yeah.
So it was really hard, but very, very excited. I'm excited to see yours. I'm very excited to reveal mine.
Yeah. So we
I'm
don't know
honestly so
anything.
stoked.
Yeah, we don't know anything about each other's at the moment.
No, we haven't talked about it. We haven't
So this is very
discussed
exciting.
themes, so we haven't discussed track lists or themes. And we're gonna, when we see the track list and the cover art, that's gonna be the first time that each of us see each other's track lists and cover art. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
very exciting,
Yeah.
and I'm
I
so excited to get ready, go.
I agree with you that there was some difficulty for me as well with the theme itself because it's hard to find something that kind of threads through every single album, and it was excruciating to leave out some of my favorite songs. But still, we shall see what we think.
Yes.
Okay, so let's begin with the reveal. So I'll go first. The name of this album that I have chosen is Golden. And basically, the theme ties in with the name. It's all songs that I think have kind of either a golden feel to them or they explicitly mention the word gold or golden, or they kind of tie into the theme of golden love that Taylor speaks about in some of her music.
This is exciting. I'm very excited. Is this kind of like a golden hour? I'm expecting some sort of like
Oh,
gold
okay.
rush, golden hour,
Yes.
Casey Musgraves
Okay.
vibes. So that's what I'm expecting. That's what I'm expecting.
Okay, so before revealing the album art to you, I'll just discuss some other ideas I had, just so you can see where my mind was at. I also thought of doing something like moonlight or raindrops and kind of threading through the songs that take place at night, or threading through the songs that mention rain or water. But I ended up with this just because I kind of liked the theme, and it's all basically inspired by one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs ever, which is State of Grace. And the lyric that inspired this whole album is "This is the golden age of something good and right and real." As well as the quote that Taylor says in the Red album booklet, "Real love shines golden." So I wanted to do like a compilation of those kind of songs that emit that golden feeling.
Exciting, very exciting. I'm I'm very intrigued to see this.
Okay, so do you wanna take a look at the album
Yes.
art?
Okay. Let's
So
have
for
a look.
anyone listening, this art will be putting it on our Instagram, which is at Swiftly Spoken Podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, the art should be on screen now, but we will be describing it in just a moment.
That is actually really cool. I love that. I think that's such a perfect. I think that is the perfect image. That is the
Is it
perfect
is it
image.
golden?
Yeah, that is. I see. I expected you to possibly go with like an Evermore photo.
Right.
I don't know why. I
Okay.
expected an Evermore photo. And then when you were mentioning red, I thought, oh, are you going to go with the red era photo? But this Lover one, I can't remember what photo shoot that's
Yes.
from.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So basically, the pictures I've used are from the People magazine end of 2019 special edition, and it was called People of the Year. And basically, the main photo I believe was on the cover of the People magazine, and it was quoted with Taylor saying, "The year I found true joy." To describe the photos that I've used, there were only a few in that photo shoot, but basically Taylor is in this golden light. There's like gold coming from the side. She's wearing a sequined gold or brownish dress, and she's got really beautiful makeup. I think she looks so good in these
I know
photos.
that
So
is so
yeah,
cool, and I love how the kind of like the O is shining. There's like a kind of light sparkling off of the
yes, yeah.
um, secret.
There's
That
a
is
lot
really
of
cool. I think
flecks of
that's really
light.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the
That
one
is
that I went for.
that is perfect. I think that's absolutely perfect. See, I wouldn't have expected that. I generally, when you first started, I thought, oh, Evermore, Evermore, and then I was thinking
Okay,
no. Then I was when you talk
okay.
about red, I thought maybe you could go for red because there's some kind of. I was thinking there's probably some stuff in that kind of photo shoot that has that feel, but no,
Yeah.
this is
Also, I
perfect.
love the red photo shoot. So I
Exactly,
was
yeah.
tempted, but I found these ones and I was like, yes, this is it.
That is perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Okay, so before getting into the track list now, I just wanted to say I did have a few difficulties because there are a lot of songs that mention gold or golden in them, but mostly they're in the latter albums. So if you remember, like Reputation is very gold heavy, just as Lover is very blue heavy. There's a lot of blue references, but in some of her albums like Taylor Swift and Fearless, there's not so many mentions of gold. So I will be justifying my choices, but I kind of had to go with more songs that I felt fit the theme in more of an abstract way. And I also want to mention that there are some songs that do mention gold but aren't on the track list, but again, they just didn't fit the idea of this golden love that I was going for.
Okay, so I've just clicked on the track list. Do you want to explain?
Yes. So, firstly, for the back side of this album, we have another photo from that same photo shoot. And the track list, shall I read it through?
Yes.
So, the track list is as follows: State of Grace, Untouchable, Gold Rush, Dancing with Our Hands Tied, Peace, Mary's Song, Oh My, Enchanted, You Are in Love, Dress, Long Live, The Best Day, Invisible String, and Daylight. Now, I know I cheated a little bit because I have placed a typical album opener as the album opener, and I have placed an album closer as the album closer, but I do feel like they felt right.
Yes, they definitely. I think State of Grace, Daylight is a perfect closure, especially with the idea of golden and that kind of golden light. So I think that's a perfect closer, and State of Grace as well. I think is a perfect kind of opener. But what I do think is interesting is your track five isn't a track five, like
No,
a traditional
yes.
Taylor Swift track five.
Yeah, I changed that around, and I don't think any of my songs were originally track fives. No, they
No.
weren't. So, yes, so I'll go through one by one if you like, just briefly. So we start off with State of Grace, which, as I've mentioned, is one of my all-time favorite Taylor Swift songs. I think it also sets the mood for this album with the quote that I mentioned beforehand. And then I move into some Untouchable and Gold Rush. And I kind of feel like both of these songs are similar in the sense that they are about this unreachable love that kind of is idealized and is very like shiny and beautiful, but it's kind of out of reach for Taylor, at least in those songs.
Yeah, no, I think they're perfect. I think the gold, obviously, Gold Rush had to be on them,
Yeah,
the album, but I think the State of Grace, Untouchable, Gold Rush, I think they kind of all they would really work together, like flowing through the kind of album. They have quite a similar sonic sound, even though necessarily they're not from the same album. I think that's really cool.
right. Yeah, that was another difficulty, to be honest with you, because so many of her albums have this different sound, though they're all quintessentially Taylor.
Yeah.
So kind of the placement was difficult because of that as well. So next we have as track 4, Dancing with Our Hands Tied, which I had to add because I wanted to add kind of quote unquote the sadder songs at the start and then move into the more happier or I don't know, lovey-dovey songs afterwards. So Dancing with Our Hands Tied, of course, has the amazing quote, Deep Blue, but you painted me golden. So that had to be there. And then we move to my track 5, which, as you said, isn't a traditional track 5, and it's Peace. So this one doesn't really mention golden, but I do love the imagery of I'm a fire and I'll keep your brittle heart warm. So I kind of think that it's golden in that sense that it talks about this love that you really want to protect and you're really scared and vulnerable at that point, but you really want to keep it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think your explanation makes sense, and I definitely think that that could the themes of peace as well definitely fit as a kind of track 5, and definitely fit with the kind of concept of your album, and the kind of lyrics make it make sense as a track 5 on this kind of album. So no, I think that's really cool.
Brilliant. I was worried about that because track 5 has a lot of pressure surrounding it. So
Yeah, there is. Imagine the pressure that Taylor has when she's trying to pick the track 5, because it is
for
something that
sure.
is so talked about and so kind of focused on as like this specific placement of a certain song that has to be vulnerable and has to be kind of gut wrenching. So no, I think for this album that one makes total sense.
Okay, thanks. Next, I move on to 3 songs that, again, I think they're more of the idealized love or love that wasn't necessarily Taylor's own personal love, but still tell beautiful stories of being enamored with someone, and they feel very golden to me. So we have Mary's song "Oh My," which I think is just so beautiful. It just that ending always gets to me.
Yeah, no, it is such a lovely song, and I think yeah that it belongs on this album.
So next we have Enchanted, which again doesn't necessarily mention golden, but I always feel that it has that kind of magical feel to it. And in a way, Taylor wanted to name Speak Now Enchanted, and I can understand why. It's very magical. And then we have You Are in Love, which again isn't necessarily about her love story per se, but it does describe this amazing, beautiful love and relationship, which I kind of feel could be golden.
Yes, no, I think it's interesting how you put those three together, and they're three songs that aren't necessarily about Taylor Swift. So no, that's
Right.
interesting, your track placement there, and I think those all really work and all really make sense.
Right, so then we move to track 9, which is Dress, which again does have a golden lyric. So you made your mark on me, a golden tattoo. And then with the next 2 songs, Long Live and The Best Day, instead of being like golden, like romantic love, I wanted to place songs that explore other facets of love that can be kind of seen as golden. So Long Live, which also has a lot of references to kingdom like shining and crowns and things like that. And obviously, yeah, it's a different kind of love between your friends or bandmates in her case, or even the fans to some extent. And similarly, The Best Day does have a reference to gold, the sky is gold, and is a different kind of love, being maternal. So then for track 12, we have Invisible String, which is another one of my absolute Taylor Swift favorites. Of course, another gold reference, one single thread of gold, tied me to you. And we wrap up the whole album, as I said, with Daylight, which, is just, I know it's a bit cliche as an album wrap up, but, um, you know, she once believed love would be burning red, which I have at the beginning with State of Grace, but it's golden, like Daylight, which I have at the end. So I thought
That
that
is
could be.
perfect. That is really cool. That's a really kind of cool concept with the red, a red song at the start and ending it with the song that mentions a red song, believing it was red and now it's golden like
It's
daylight.
golden.
That is really cool. I really love it, and I love the photo shoot that you've chosen. I think it's perfect. Like it's the perfect kind of photo shoot for this kind of concept of a gold.
Thank you.
Her hair's golden, her kind of skin is very golden, and the makeup and all of the dresses that she's wearing have that kind of like shine to them. So no, I
Yeah.
think that's perfect. I think that's really perfect.
Okay, so that wraps up my album. I found it difficult to pick and choose. I had to let go of some of my favorites. I had to add different ones, but I think I've kind of justified why each of them are on there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely think there's some kind of great Taylor Swift songs on there, but also a really kind of coherent theme, which really works with your CD and album cover design, which, as we said earlier, you can check out on our Instagram, or you can go over on YouTube and listen to the podcast where we'll be showing our album cover designs and track lists while we talk about them. Okay, so now my turn to share my compilation album. So I really struggled initially trying to come up with like a concept. And initially, because a lot of my favorite Taylor Swift songs are all the sad breakup songs, it meant that I was kind of coming up with this concept of like the track list would tell kind of a breakdown of a relationship. So I had a lot of songs like Babe and All Too Well and Last Kiss and Better Man and All You Had
Okay.
to Do Was Stay and Closure and all those kind of songs. And then I was struggling to then come up with a name because I was like, what do I call it? So I came up with all these weird names like Poisoned Arrow, Cursed,
Oh, wow.
Fiasco. Honestly, a series of disappointments was something that I flung around. And then I was like, what photo shoot do I use? What photo shoot do I use? What photo shoot do I use? And then I just couldn't find something that I really wanted. And my favorite photo shoot is the Rolling Stone 2014 photo shoot that Taylor did where she's on the beach. And I was like, that
Yes.
doesn't fit. That doesn't fit with this album concept that I've come up with. So I thought, oh, I'm not going to think about it. Anyways, I've been listening to Solar Power a lot and listening to Solar Power and this kind of album that obviously Lorde made. She made Melodrama, this huge pop album, disappeared for 4 years, spent most of that time in nature and on the beach, and came back with this kind of beach album. And I thought, what would Taylor do if she did that? What album would Taylor make if she went away for 4 years and spent all of that time on a beach? So
Okay. Okay. I'm
my
excited.
my kind of concept is basically Taylor's almost solar power album, an album that is made for the beach and is all of the songs that I personally listen to when I'm on a beach. So my album title is Atlantic Breeze.
Oh my God, I love it.
So if you go over and have a look, like we said earlier, you'll be able to see all of our album concepts on our Instagram, on our YouTube if you listen along.
Okay, so I've just seen the CD cover and it's absolutely beautiful. Oh my God, I love it.
It is really cool, isn't it? So basically, it's like I said, from the Rolling Stone 2014 photo shoot, and it's a photo where Taylor's got her kind of arms over her head and her hair's all blowing in the breeze, which I thought was perfect for the title Atlantic Breeze.
Yes.
So yeah, and I kind of wanted to do a bit of a kind of folklore Evermore and the kind of albums that Taylor's releasing at the moment, which don't have titles on them.
Mm-hmm.
So like obviously Folklore doesn't, Evermore doesn't, Red Taylor's version doesn't, even though obviously she has the ring, and Fearless Taylor's version doesn't. So I went with that vibe of not having the title, and I couldn't find the title, a place for the title. So yeah, anyways, that's the cover, and like I said, it's kind of this. I just love this photo shoot. I think that I love photo shoots where people are on a beach and it seems really natural and really
Mm-hmm.
organic and not like no heavy makeup and really kind of natural outfits, just like a vest and a pair of jeans. And I just love people frolicking around on beaches. Basically, they're my kind of favorite photo shoots. So I was like, this fits the concept perfectly. So
Yeah,
with,
for sure.
yeah,
Also, sorry to interrupt.
that's all
Also,
right.
I've never really seen this particular photo. It hasn't been one that's been like blown up by the fandom. So it's really nice to see it. Like this could be a new photo and I kind of maybe wouldn't know.
Yeah, no, I think it is one of my favorites, like one of my favorites. And like you said, I don't think enough people talk about this photo shoot, so I wanted to give this photo shoot justice because it is amazing and it is my favorite. So with that in mind, I guess I'll dive into my track list. Like I said before, I went down this road of trying to fit them to a kind of story, but then I thought, no, if I'm going down this beach vibe, I want to have songs that kind of either mention beach, waves, or
Yes.
just feel quite like they just feel like quite. I know this is a weird way to describe a song, but quite flowy and just kind of very relaxing and they kind of songs that you would listen to sat with the waves kind of behind you. So if you go and have a look at my track list,
Okay,
I'll
I'm
explain
ready.
them. Okay, so my track list, like we said, is 13 songs, and it starts with Fearless. I love Fearless as a song. It is one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs, and I had to have it on the track list. And I think it's such a great album opener, and
For sure.
it's kind of like the Solar Power song on the Solar Power album for this album, if you get what I mean. Kind of quite free, and yeah, I just thought
Yeah,
it was a
yeah,
really
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
cool kind of song to have for the opener of this song, Fearless, just being at the ocean waves, quite natural. So yeah, that's my first track, and then my second track is Delicate. So this one I decided just felt quite calm. um, it isn't kind of heavy, and it just feels like a song that's quite I just feel like it fits with the kind of beach feel, even though necessarily it's not got anything to do with beach.
You
But
know what? I feel the same. Yeah, I do. Maybe it's something, I don't know, about how it sounds or the writing, but I get that completely. Yeah.
yeah, no, so that's what I thought with Delicate. Okay, so track 3 on the album, like I said, it's quite difficult. It was difficult trying to like find a song that fit this vibe from the debut album. So the only song that really stood out to me, and that is my favorite song on that album, is Tim McGraw, the song. So I decided to put that as my track 3, and it's kind of just, again, it just feels really, I just love this song. It feels really soft and not heavy.
Yeah.
And again, something that really kind of worked with this kind of waves and natural um, kind of feeling.
Yeah,
And
to be
then,
honest, I agree with you with how difficult it was to find something from the debut album. It's not a concept album, but it almost is in the way that the songs are all very similar and very different to everything else that she's produced.
yeah, and
Um,
they have a certain kind of sound, don't they, that isn't,
Definitely, yeah.
that,
And also, I do think Tim McGraw fits really nicely into your playlist because of the music video. I know it's not the beach, but she's around a lake. It's water, isn't
yeah,
it? So yeah, it's cool.
yeah, no, and like I said, weirdly, Delicate rolls quite nicely into Tim McGraw, and I was listening to them, they quite roll quite nicely.
Right.
But anyways, so track 4 is Sad, Beautiful, Tragic, and this is probably
Oh,
one of my
love it.
favorite songs as well. And like I said, again, has that kind of very soft feeling and quite flowy, and is a really kind of cool song to listen to with waves. And just, I don't know, I just thought this one feels like it's on that kind of album. It's quite acoustic. Again, where I was trying to kind of maybe mimic the kind of Solar Power feel, I thought maybe this one is one of those
Hmm.
songs. Um, so yeah, okay, so my track 5, I had to have All Too Well. I just couldn't find anything else to put in there. And I
Yeah,
really
it's
wanted All Too
iconic.
Well. I just couldn't have anything else. I was like, no, All Too Well is staying in there. And again, it kind of fits with this kind of vibe maybe that I was creating, even though it's a bit more, it kind of, obviously the bridge kind of grows massively, but I felt like it worked. Then track 6 is August. The Obviously it starts with Salt Air, which
Oh,
obviously the
yes.
sea. So I had to have
Fits
this on there.
perfectly.
So that one fits absolutely perfectly. August again has that kind of feel, quite free flowing feel. So I thought that was perfect for this album. Then track 7 is This Love. Again, it starts with Clear Blue Water. It had
Oh
to
my
be
God,
on this
yeah.
album. This is like the perfect ocean song. Um, Tossing, turning, or it just is perfect for this kind of album. And then track 8, again, Cornelia Street is one of my favorites. And I just wanted something that was, I don't know, maybe a bit of a kind of a break, maybe from the kind of slower song. So I decided to put Cornelia Street in there, even though, again, it might not necessarily have much to do with the waves, but I just really wanted it on there.
I don't know. It has I mean, following more broadly, like the idea of water and that, it definitely has the rains.
Yeah, it definitely does have that. So that is something that that's why I decided to put it on there. Okay, so track 9 is then Cowboy Like Me. Again, it has that kind of sad, beautiful, tragic feel about it, and just is just kind of, again, it just, I don't know, it's weird to describe, but it just kind of works with waves and has that kind of motion about it, that I decided to put that on there. And again, I really really love that song, so I felt like it had to be part of the album. Okay, so track 10 on this album is Peace. And the reason I decided to put that on here is because of the lyric, if your cascade ocean waves blues come. So again, the mention of waves had to be on here. It was kind of, it would be cruel not to put Peace on this album.
I think it's so interesting how we both placed peace on our albums.
Yeah, no, it's weird how you chose it because of obviously the idea of the golden love, um, and I chose it because of the ocean lyric. But I think it fits perfectly on both of these albums.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
and like I said, again, I kind of chose it because it kind of has that slightly solar powery feel. that I was
Definitely, yeah.
trying to kind of go for this kind of more acoustic. That's why a lot of these songs, obviously some of them aren't, but a lot of the kind of Sad Beautiful Tragics and the Cowboy Like Knees and the Peace are kind of more slower and acoustic, and that's the kind of vibe that I wanted to go for. Then track 11 is Call It What You Want. Again, it just kind of fits with this whole feel of the album. It's this kind of album is quite soft. It's not very heavy. There's no kind of big basses or anything like that. So I thought that Call It What You Want again would fit. And then track 12 is Last Kiss, which obviously is a great song. And I just really wanted on this album it just feels like it fits again with
I agree. Yeah, I do
the
actually. Yeah, the sound, I think you've done a really great job in choosing all of these kind of toned down songs. So there's not like this big amazing production.
no,
Uh
that's definitely what I tried to go for. This kind of
yeah.
more softer songs and more songwriting songs. So
Yeah,
with like
yeah.
All Too Wells and the Cowboy Like Knees and the Last Kiss and August and stuff like that, songs that are more about the songwriting than necessarily the big kind of production. And then, much like you, where you chose a traditional opener and closer, I did the same, obviously choosing Fearless as the
Mm-hmm.
opener, and 13 had to be clean. Um, like it's the most perfect kind of song for this
Yeah.
album, with obviously the idea of the kind of waves washing away the
Yep.
photos and stuff like that. So no, again, and it's a perfect album close, perfect closure on this album. And again, I was possibly thinking about maybe calling this album Clean, and
Okay.
but then I thought, no, 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 I want to go with the idea of the kind of breeze because of the cover. And then
Yeah.
initially I was going to go with like ocean breeze or oceanic breeze, but then um, oceanic breeze referred to like Australia and New Zealand. So I thought, no, I don't
Yes.
really want to pick because then obviously she's not a New Zealand artist, so that's why I went with Atlantic breeze because of the Atlantic Ocean. So yeah, that's kind of
Wow.
my um, album and track list and yeah, cover. And then also, like I said, I did also design a possible vinyl um,
Oh wow.
concept,
Oh wow,
which
I
I
love that. Yeah.
which again is meant to look like waves. So
Yes.
yeah, so yeah, again, if you want to check that out, look on our Instagram or head over to our YouTube, where we'll be showing the images as we discuss them.
I really enjoyed your album. I absolutely love how you designed it. And all of the songs, they really, though they're so different, they all kind of tie in together. And to be honest with you, you've got a lot of my top favorite songs on there.
Yeah, no, these are the type of songs that I listen to when I'm on the beach. Glad you enjoyed it because I definitely had fun creating it. Coming up with the logo, the font for the album and stuff was really cool. And I tried to go for something again that was quite free, um, with
Oh, yeah, it
kind of
fits it really well.
handwritten.
Yeah. I have to say, I would love to have both of these albums.
Yeah, like
I,
I wish, honestly, that Rolling Stones photo shoot, I just love it so much. If that was actually a
yeah.
cover of a Taylor Swift album, oh my God, it would be insane. It's such a cool cover.
Yeah, it really is.
I just love that photo shoot like so much. I don't know why I love it. And also your one, like I said, is perfect for that kind of golden feel. Um, and I completely forgot about that photo shoot.
In a way, another cool little observation from just like seeing our albums. It's funny because yours is kind of inspired by Solar Power and it does really have those vibes. And mine wasn't really inspired by Casey Musgraves' Golden Hour, but like even the photo shoot kind of are reminiscent to that. So it's funny how that kind of fell into place.
Yeah, no, that is weird how, yeah, mine was solar power and yours was kind of that golden hour kind of feel. And that is interesting how we kind of, I think what was really hard, and one thing that it made me appreciate is how hard creating track lists, or like
God,
organizing
yeah.
a track list is, coming up with what is the cover, the name is really hard. And like I said, I didn't want to pick, because obviously these are songs that are already released and it's more of a compilation. I didn't just want to pick one of the song names. So it was hard to kind
Yeah.
of find something that fit with the album cover and the kind of concept. So yeah. Okay, so thank you for listening to our episode. We definitely had a blast creating these album concepts, designing all of the covers. And like we've said, make sure you check out our Instagram at Swiftly Spoken Podcast to see our album artwork and our track lists, as we'll be posting our visuals along with all of the stuff that we've mentioned in this episode. Also, as we've said before, if you're watching on YouTube, we'll be adding the photos to the screen as we discuss the visuals and designs. So make sure you check out that if you'd like to see them as we talk about them. Furthermore, we'll be holding a poll on our Instagram, so you can vote for your favourite album cover and then track list. And also, if you'd like to create your own following the rules, make sure that you tag us at Swiftly Spoken Podcast on Instagram so that we can see your design and share it. Okay, thanks again for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please let us know so that we can have more creative episodes in the future.